Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Rush have announced the 40th anniversary super deluxe editions of the band's 10th studio album, Grace Under Pressure, from 1984, and it'll be available in 5 distinct configurations here, including the super deluxe edition 4CD plus Blu-ray, super deluxe edition 5LP plus Blu-ray, super deluxe digital edition. You have the Dolby Atmos digital edition and Grace Under Pressure tour live in Toronto at Video DSPs. So they're all available for pre-order right now on the Rush store. And is it worth the money for another nostalgic box set release? Let's dive in. First and foremost, I want to say that the artwork on here by Hugh Syme is atrocious. I don't like this at all. I'm not a fan of, the new art by Hugh Syme on these recent box sets, and it's a shame because, he's responsible for, the art on so many classic Rush albums, and, has done great work with other bands as well, but his recent work, I'm just not a fan of at all here. I don't know what it is, but it just feels, AI generated and completely lifeless. I don't know if he's phoning it in, but it's nothing compared to the original, which had a lot more character. Really hated the design on the Signals reissue. I'm not a fan of this one either. Let's dive into the contents of the box set here for the Grace Under Pressure Backstage exclusive Super Deluxe 4 CD and Blu-ray set. We'll be talking about the CD version because I am the CD guy after all, but there's also a 5 LP variant here. It features 4 CDs, a Blu-ray, and 52-page hardcover book. CD1 features the original 1984 stereo mix, newly remastered from the original analog stereo master tapes by Sean McGee at Abbey Road Studios. And Grace Under Pressure was the first Rush album not to be produced by Terry Brown after he'd been working with the band for 10 years. But now, on CD2, we get to hear Terry Brown's brand new stereo mix of the album created from the original studio album analog multi-tracks. And the 1986 concert home video Grace Under Pressure tour only featured a portion of the show performed on September 21st, 1984 in Toronto. Now, for the first time ever, the complete concert is presented in newly mixed from the original multi-track audio masters with a new edited concert video from Camera Masters featuring over 37 minutes of additional performances. Newly titled Grace Under Pressure Tour Live in Toronto 1984. The complete live album is included on discs 3 and 4, with the concert video newly remastered in HD and offered in Dolby Atmos and stereo newly mixed on the Blu-ray. And furthermore, on the Blu-ray disc, the Grace Under Pressure studio album is newly mixed in Dolby Atmos from the original album tracks. Terry Brown's new album mix is presented in high-resolution stereo, along with the band's 4 music videos that are visually remastered in HD. A lot included here, but let's dive into what I think is the most interesting aspect of this box set, and that has to be hearing Terry Brown's new mix of Grace Under Pressure. Very cool to have him go back in, 40 years later and give us his interpretation of the album and how it could have sounded at the time had, the band continued to work with him on this record, which, is an album that, of course, features, the band doubling down on the use of synths, and as a result, Alex Lifeson's guitar feels like it was a little bit less prominent in the mix here for this record here, so I'm definitely interested in hearing what Terry can do for this album and maybe balance out the synth and guitar sounds in the mix more evenly. Then you have the live material on CDs 3 and 4 here. The first ever complete set list of the show Rush performed on September 21st, 1984 at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, which was also newly mixed from the original multi-track audio masters here, and it's now been retitled to Grace Under Pressure Tour, live in Toronto 1984, and you can see the set list right over here. Getting us started on CD3, The Spirit of Radio, Subdivisions, The Body Electric, The Enemy Within, The Weapon, Witch Hunt, New World Man, Between the Wheels, Red Barchetta, onto CD4, Distant Early Warning, Red Sector A, Closer to the Heart, Kid Gloves, YYZ, 2112, Temples of Syrinx, Tom Sawyer, Red Lenses, and a Neil Peart drum solo here, Vital Signs, Finding My Way, and In the Mood to close things out. The band's Super Deluxe 4 CD version is priced on the band's site at $299.98, and the 5 LP version is priced at $374.98, so that's a hefty price for sure. Not sure if it's quite worth that price. I might just stick to streaming on this one personally, although for me, the real gold here is hearing Terry Brown's, a new mix of the new album and that killer live set as well. Great live era for the band, and that set list is awesome. So, definitely something that I think is really cool, but I'll probably check out the streaming version instead. I'm still not sure if I'm willing to shell out $300 for the CD version, and you have to be selective these days because bands are putting out these anniversary box sets just one after the other and just constantly, and they aren't getting any cheaper, so I'll probably pass on this, even though I love Grace Under Pressure and the synth era of Rush, and this was a super important record, in terms of, the band's mid-80s stylistic change, but those prices just have to come down, man. So that wraps up this video here. Just wanted to share with you guys everything you need to know about the new box set released by Rush, celebrating 40 years, really like 42 years, of Grace Under Pressure here, and wanted to share my thoughts real quick. Is it worth it? Kind of on the fence about this one. I think, the new Terry Brown mix is really, really cool, and the live set's great, but just a little bit too expensive here considering how many box sets are put out constantly, and, you have to choose. You got to pick and choose. You can't just, buy everything anymore, which sucks, but those prices are not coming down anytime soon, unfortunately. So, yeah, probably going to have to pass on this one, but nonetheless, wanted to share my thoughts on it here, and, you better believe I'll be listening on streaming, though, so really looking forward to hearing this, hearing that new mix, hearing the live set especially, so that should be really cool. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload. When this box set does get released, I will be sharing my thoughts on the new Terry Brown mix, so you definitely want to stay tuned to that. And, follow me on Instagram at the CD Guy JZ if you're on IG. And let me know down in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on this new box set? Is this something you're interested in? Do you feel like it's overpriced? And would you be interested in buying this as opposed to streaming it? I want to hear from you. And until next time, it's the CD Guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.